he stopped biting motherfuckers.
Because I like his person.
Yeah.
Dude, I like crazy people.
Okay.
Though.
Yeah.
Most feared boxer of all time.
Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson for sure.
How about in our lifetimes? Mike Tyson, I think. Then when I think of just straight, like if I was in, I don't know what it is because they're such athletes as well, such freaks of who they are.
Yeah.
I also think of Bo Jackson when I think of Mike
Bo
Tyson.
Jackson's the beast.
What do you think about George Foreman?
Yeah, but
was
that's
he
not really.
feared?
That's my
George
life.
Foreman.
His grill's great.
No, George Foreman was feared.
He was feared.
Yeah, he was knocking people out like early. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, what
He
was his
feared.
nickname? Gorgeous George?
Yeah. Some
Didn't he
crazy
name
shit
all
like
of his kids George Foreman?
I heard some shit like that. Yeah, that's a crazy. That is fucking ridiculous.
Dude, I feel like boxing is my favorite sport. I think it's my favorite sport. As far as like I like modern fighters, I really like Pacquiao. Mayweather's amazing, but I get bored watching him.
So
because he's so good at defense, but he's too calculated. I like
that's what makes him dope.
He's good. He's awesome. But for like my taste, I like Mike Tyson, where you could like literally see people's faces like being rearranged and like flipping over and stuff.
The one guy that got close to him was the one that got knocked out by Tyson Fury. What was his name?
I know who you're talking
he's
about.
A knockout king.
The left-hander.
Yeah, he's a knockout king.
Who's this?
The guy that fought Tyson Fury.
When was this?
The black dude. DeAndre
Wilder?
Yeah. Wilder.
Yeah. He was the next Fury dude up next. He was knocking people out left and right.
What happened
Well, Tyson Fury got him. You know what I'm saying? So
I think
twice.
The thing that kind of separates, I think, when you think of amazing athletes, right? Or punching power, all that. But we'll get into it. Is that when you're really, the reason why Mike stuck out so much, he was probably so incredibly fundamentally sound too. Like we're talking a real deal, like boxer, everything, like you talk footwork and all that. And it's usually when you get like a Deontay Wilder, you got a guy like you see Conor McGregor. It's like they walk around. It's like their left hand is loaded and they're just waiting to just unload
knock people out.
But Tyson was actually trying to box.
Yeah.
And then also had that other stuff. That was just a must.
But Mike was knocking you out first, second round. The early Mike was knocking everybody out.
Have you heard his story though? Who's the guy, who was his trainer? The guy who took him in when he was a kid?
Name.
But he would hypnotize him and do all this stuff when he was a kid and then just be like, you were like a tiger. You have no mercy. And he was just, this dude was just training his mind.
To kill.
And so Mike, if you listen to like early interviews, he'd start crying when he would talk about his trainer because his trainer was like, Mike was just like such a troubled kid. So it was like his trainer was like
a father,
a teacher.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Now, Mike was from the hood. You know what I'm saying?
He was, dude. He had a hard life, dude.
Yeah.
And so he got whoever it was that adopted him. Because if you see those early videos of Mike Tyson like punching, like when he was like training, that guy adopted him and got him to channel all that rage and trauma like into boxing, which is why he was so good. Yeah. Because he just channeled it at such a young age. He found that was his outlet.
Yeah. He's like, you're poor. You have no money.
Yeah, and the guy
got robbed. You got your ass beat as a child. You know what I'm saying? And he tunneled all that energy into the ring.
It's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
It's crazy. That's why he's like such a prodigy. There's those stories too about Mike Tyson. Have you heard of like when he would see like a homeless guy, he would just give him like a Lamborghini?
Yeah.
He would just get out and start walking. He would just give it to a homeless guy.
Mike was crazy. Mike was a different dude early.
Yeah,
Mike has grown into more of a spiritual dude right now. You know what I'm saying?
He's very like emotionally intelligent, like super self-aware dude.
Absolutely. He does. Like, he did ayahuasca, which I want to try one day.
Dude, I would go crazy if I did.
I wanted to try ayahuasca. You heard of it, right?
You
heard of it?
Of course.
Yeah. Because it makes you just tunnel all your fears, but you also talk to people like dead people, honestly.
That's why I don't want to do it, dude, because I know I'd probably see a demon and then I'd come back being like, rah!
But I got people watching you and stuff like that.
That's the thing. People get like
Peru.
spiritual guides, through it and everything. And, you know, in college.
Have my pastor.
College, your spiritual guide was a guy named Brad who had just done mushrooms one more time than you had.
Dude, of course.
And he was just like, dude, just wait till it kicks in.
Yeah.
This is what's going to happen and all that.
I'm scared of that.
you know?
I mean, all that stuff is crazy. I've never done mushrooms ever in my life because I'm scared to go there mentally.
Well,
you know
from
what I'm
what
saying?
I want to do them.
From what I've been told now by people that do them on a consistent basis, is that people don't really do mushrooms the way that they used to back in the day.
They microdose.
And microdose, they know exactly the right dosage to give you so that you can get into the zone and then you can come back out of it. It's not this all night thing. You know, it's
where it's crazy. Yeah. Well, the thing is there's a, if you have like, you don't know, but like hallucinogenics, whether it's mushrooms or even like edibles, if you have a recessive schizophrenic gene or whatever, it can like flip that on like a light switch.
That happens to one of my boy.
So
That's my friend.
So I don't do any drink because it's like I've always been very spiritual. I can like feel stuff around people.
Yeah.
Like I can feel whether you want to call it demons or whatever. Like I feel that stuff around people. And so when I did edibles, I've done it a few times. I did it whenever I had COVID because I had so much inflammation. It was just making me fall asleep. It was an edible that make you fall asleep. Well, the COVID or like my lungs deflated. I didn't have all the inflammation. So I had taken an edible one night, and for some reason I'd forgotten that I had taken it because I'd been taking them every night. It's helping me. And I was like, why do I feel like I need to army crawl back to my room after I got done like peeing?
Yeah.
And I was like, I feel like I need to army crawl. And I was also watching a bunch of conspiracy theory videos during COVID.
Yeah.
So I got in my mind that the government had poisoned this weed and that they were after me. And I called 911. And like when I got there, like my heart was like,
you had a panic attack.
Dude, I had a panic attack, but it was schizophrenic psychosis because like I kept thinking I was stuck between realities.
Yeah. Oh,
the spiritual realm and the real realm. And maybe I was.
No, you had a lot. You had a lot of edibles.
Yeah, dude. And so for me, it's not for me.
But to talk about what you just said about like if you have like
the schizophrenic thing,
or bipolar, anything like that, and you do mushrooms, it takes you to another level. So I had a friend I used to hang out with all the time, and he smoked weed and everything like that. He said, "I'm about to start doing mushrooms. I heard it make you super focused, all that good stuff." And for some people, it does. But he started doing it, right?
Regularly. He started doing it.
Regularly. Okay. And he was like, "Hey, man, it's helicopters out my building."
He called you?
Yeah. He called me late at night. Yo, helicopters watching me. I'm like, bro, you live in the hood. Of course,
of course there's helicopters.
Yeah, of course there's helicopters out there, right? LA? Yeah, it's LA.
Okay,
yeah. And then one time his mom called me. She was like, "Hey, can you go pick my son up? He thinks somebody's watching him and following him, right?"
Oh, poor
so
dude,
I pulled up to the dude and everything. He had a hood on, he had headphones on and stuff like that. And then I'm like, "Hey, Nelson." He like, "Shh." I'm like, "What's wrong?" He like, "Get in the car, right?" So he got in the car. I was like, "What's wrong with you, man?" He like, "Shh." So he got me whispering in the car, like, "So what's wrong with you?" He like, "Somebody following me." So I'm whispering in the car the whole time, trying to make sure he cool. I'm like, "Hey, everything's gonna be okay." "No, it's not. Someone's following me, man. Someone's following me." I'm like, no one's following you. I drove up here. No one's behind me. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, the fact that you were whispering probably made him more paranoid too. Yeah.
But I had to whisper to make him
comfortable and connect with him, to get on his rapport.
I'm like, bro, calm down. It's crazy. There's nothing wrong with you. And this was going on with him for months. This is like really a good friend of mine, right? But to your message, it messed him up, man.
So he's still today.
I haven't seen him. He moved.
Gotcha. So he thinks there's helicopters following him.
He thought helicopters following him 3 o'clock in the morning, like 7 o'clock in the evening. I'm like, bro, you live in the hood. He living in like
Dude,
North Hollywood.
That's so sad, man.
In another place. You know what I'm saying?
So you haven't talked to him?
Haven't talked to him. He's a good friend of mine. I hope he's doing good, man. But when you start doing other type of drugs, and
maybe that's what happened to our friend who lies a lot. Maybe he really believes this stuff. He just did some mushrooms.
He's sober half the time. That's just him. He's just a liar. He's the liar.
Yeah, it's so weird. Mm-hmm. It's so weird. But yeah, it's crazy. Because there's so much talks about, because it's like as teachers and everything, we see like everybody has ADD, everybody has ADHD. I think it's the food, as we talked about last week. And then there's all this different stuff, to where I do think that food plays a gigantic thing. And phones. Food and phones.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Because people are talking about like, like how mental health has plummeted, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I do think that there is like an element of like food and phones. But there's also simultaneously people talking about like these types of therapies. Now, just to be clear, these therapies are for adults, right? They're not talking about, these aren't for kids, right?
Yeah.
Are they like
therapy?
No. These therapies like
your ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca. Obviously, you're not going to give ayahuasca to an 8-year-old after he's done drinking Capri Suns. But I mean, like there's what's it called, like psychedelic therapy and stuff like that, like mushrooms and stuff. Is that only for adults, or do they want to give that to like teenagers, because teenagers have PTSD and stuff?
Absolutely. I think it's proven for adults.
Okay.
It's life changing for some adults, but I think you have to have that mindset to do it.
Because as a kid, my main concern, I would never do it for me because I just don't feel it's right for me. But like my main concern with like if a kid, your brain is developing so much, you haven't hit like homeostasis yet to where it's just kind of like, all right, this is who this kid is.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I was wondering if they approved it for kids, because
it's definitely not for kids.
You know,
that would. Although kids now,
John's going to do ketamine therapy.
Although a lot of kids smoke weed in high school,
dude, I think that's so bad.
Yeah,
like it honestly stresses me out because there's middle schoolers I know that are pretty high sometimes. I'm just like, dude, you have no idea what you're doing in your brain, dude. It's like developing, like
absolutely.
Let it cook before you start pouring spices in there.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. But I feel like it's bad for kids, man. But it's legal now, so is it really bad for kids? That's my question.
Well, it's legal for what, 18 or 21? What's the age?
I have no idea. That's something I have to Google and look up.
21, I believe.
21. Gotcha.
It has to be 21.
But your brain doesn't stop growing until you're 26.
You know, one of the
or 25.
I always think it's like a lie that gets sold to consumers is like, you think of like rock and roll, right? What's that image that they're drinking and smoking and all that? Think of like 90s rap, right? Everybody getting high and all that. But like most of the time, the people that are drinking or smoking that much, they get stuck in their actual lives. You don't see people like, there's very few people that are true successes in life that can also simultaneously do all of the things, you know, like smoking weed all day.
You can't smoke weed all day and be successful for the most part. There are people Seth Rogen,
some people
I'm saying for the most part. For the most part.
Some people do smoke weed and be very successful.
No, they can smoke weed, but I mean all day. Like
Snoop does it all day.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Snoop Dogg,
Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen.
I think it's a balance between being, you know, it's a balance, I think. You know what I'm saying? But I think weed makes some people super creative at the same time.
Sure.
I would just say that there's outliers, that the majority of people would not be able to sustain any kind of creativity or productivity.
Cat smokes a lot, Cat Williams.
Right? That's most people.
Yeah, but that's what I mean, most people.
But the thing that sucks is that like, when I'm young and I'm looking at all this stuff and I'm like, yeah, fucking weed and alcohol and girls and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you think about it, for your average person, that makes them stuck. It takes away their motivation. It takes away, because now you're just living in a life of instant gratification and you're not thinking long-term about stuff.
Absolutely.
Dude,
it's a quick fix.
Yeah.
Anything that pulls that dopamine lever, you know what I mean? Like Vegas, the slot machines in your brain is not good for you, you know? And for me, it's even like caffeine. That's my drug of choice, dude. I quit caffeine for like 2 days and I just started crying one day out of nowhere because I was like, I was so used to feeling like this euphoria. I drove my car around Starbucks 3 times. And
it was like a line or something?
No, just because I was like debating on whether I was going to go in there. And then I went in to Starbucks finally, and I was like,
you weren't a white girl in the suburbs in your past
dude,
life?
I think I was.
I think you're from Beverly Hills, bro. You're not from Chicago.
I'm not, dude.
Guys, I had a terrible day.
Yeah, it's like I drove around Starbucks 3 times. So I went in there and I got the iced coffee. It was 2 days. I was off caffeine. And then like, I just prayed. I was like, God, please tell me not to drink this. And I flushed it down the toilet because it was sitting in my refrigerator for like 4 hours. And I was just looking at it. Dude, yes, I love caffeine, but that's the thing.
But I feel like you're naturally high without caffeine though.
Well, that's because I'm on caffeine. You know what I mean? Like, I almost don't know if I'm optimistic or if I've just drank too many.
How long have you been drinking caffeine? How long have you been drinking coffee for?
Dude, since I moved to LA, because it's such a
LA thing.
Go. And especially now that I'm teaching. Like today, I didn't have a whole lot of caffeine.
Yeah.
And I just was like, people were like, hey, Mr. Jones, how are you? And I was like, fine. And like, people would be like, how's your day going? I'd be like, well.
Yeah.
Cool. You know what I mean? Like, just not with it.
I can't drink caffeine, man. That shit has me shaking.
Dude, I think
shaking super hard.
I don't even think I have anxiety. I think it just drink caffeine.
For me, I go to the gym a lot.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes I might take some energy drinks to get me pumped up, but I can't do too much of that. coffee makes you shake.
Dude, and it causes wrinkles too. These 11s that I have right here that look like I'm pissed off all the time.
Yeah.
It's from drinking so much coffee.
You drink coffee?
You believe that?
Yeah, because whenever I used to stop, it would start to be like, and then it would start to go away, and I drink coffee again and be like,
because your brain is focused with that stuff.
Yeah,
are you a coffee
drink
drinker?
3 cups a day.
Really?
Yeah, so I drink 1 in the morning when I wake up, and then 1 around 11 or something.
Because of teaching. Did you start drinking coffee when you started teaching?
Yeah, and then
because you upbeat, like you could hang
and then
with
my
kids.
last one, I really try not to drink it past 2 or 2:30, and the reason why is because I don't want it to affect my sleep.
I
it
agree.
will.
I agree.
Affect your sleep. You know, and it's
I used
like
to go hard.
My mom
coffee.
could drink coffee all day and go to sleep. She could drink a coffee an hour before she goes to sleep and sleep well.
Superheroes.
Bro, Armenians drink coffee at night. I used to live off of Sherman Way.
And Red Bull.
And they'd be drinking a whole damn pot of coffee at like 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And smoking cigarettes. I'd be like, dude, don't you got to go to work in the morning?
Absolutely.
Like they would be drinking a whole pot of coffee like in that Starbucks on Sherman Way.
Yeah.
It turned into like casino for Armenians. Like they would just show up and like sip coffee.
Sherman Way.
And play with like remote control cars. I was like, and they were like 50. I was like, what are you guys doing?
Like almost like by Lower Canyon almost.
Yeah, right by the freeway.
Yeah, I know that. Well, by the
Dude,
170.
they all pull up there at 10 o'clock at night, and then they would always have like remote control cars, like these 50-year-old men. And I'm like, dude, is this how you guys cut loose from your wives? Like, this is weird.
Yeah, I can't do that.
You know? But yeah, we were going to talk about this week. We were going to talk about like, speaking of like energy and stuff like that. Like,
actually, you know what though, man? Now that you guys are talking about like drugs and, you know, partying and all that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could share so many stories about like what it's been like teaching at my school and the things that we've come across.
Dude, go for it.
What kids
go
partying?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay.
So, because I haven't noticed it yet. I just don't know whether they're in middle school or whether they're high. Because they say stupid stuff with their mouth open. And I'm like, is that you being high or is that you in middle school?
Well, your kids all go to 8th grade, correct?
6th, 7th, and 8th.
Okay, yours too?
6th graders are like little kids. 7th graders are kind of like where they're getting an ego. 8th graders are where they're like, whatever.
I would say this. It's very rare that you're going to see a 6th grader getting high.
Yeah,
No,
I agree.
That's not their world yet.
Yeah. They're like, they're still kind of like tiny children in a way.
At that age, it's so weird. It's like, because they don't even have the desires for things, half the internet doesn't even exist to them. Do you know what I mean? Like,
dude, do they still have Dare? I'm sorry. I'm just going off what you're saying. Do
they may
because they brought it in elementary school. It was Scruff McGruff, the 6-foot talking dog in a trench coat.
I remember that, yeah.
And I remember, I don't know if this is an original thought, but the person who came up with that had to be high. Because he's just walking in the room. He'd be like, Scruff McGruff, Chicago, Illinois. Do you remember that?
I remember Scruff McGruff, yeah.
But that's some really Chicago shit, though.
It might be Chicago.
Yeah.
But that's the problem with all of the Dare or any kind of anti-drug things. They were so cheesy that it made the people
want to do drugs.
Yeah,
because like, I don't want to be like this square.
Yeah,
this guy's hair parted on the side.
They would do these weird, like terrible sketches.
Dude,
do you remember the terrible sketches?
Oh my god!
Come on, Matt! Don't you want to be cool?
Dude, there was one where it was the Ninja Turtles, and it was like them in a classroom, and then this kid came up to him. He goes, "Hey, Joey, you want to try some pot?" And he goes, marijuana. And then the guy's like, I don't know. And he goes, and starts doing the chicken thing. And then like the Ninja Turtles are like, what should he do? And this kid with like a giant gap in his teeth was like, get out of there.
That's
and
crazy.
then like he goes, I'm not a chicken. You're a turkey.
Yeah.
And the kid just like hangs his head down like, oh, he got me.
That would never work this day. That would never work right now. That would never work, people. That would never work. Never work right now.
No.
It's got to be hard to be a kid growing up right now. Social media is the worst thing in the world.
It really is.
The reason why I say that is because everything is documented. Okay?
Everything. There's videos of you probably teaching on social media.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But the thing about it, like, if kids get in a fight,
that happened recently.
That is on every platform. Like, it going live. So if they're going to live and they kids, like other kids from other high schools or grammar schools watching this, they're watching the whole thing right now. Yep. Like, your life could be ruined as a kid.
They actually
100%, dude. It's 1984.
Yeah, it's bad.
My school, they actually canceled free dress day tomorrow because not only
is it every Friday that they do free dress day?
Only for they're doing like this different status of like if you have gold status and that combines citizenship plus grades or whatever, and then you have silver and another one. But they canceled it tomorrow because there not only were there fights, but kids were filming it and put it online.
Yeah, it's bad because like your life could be ruined as a kid right now. I understand why kids. I'm not saying.
I mean, I can understand why the kids film it.
Yeah,
it's because then now you're like, oh, look at this, and now you're getting a bunch of likes on your page and stuff like that. But
yeah, dude, yeah,
you know, but yeah, going back before I forget, some of the dumb sayings or mottos. Do you remember the hugs, not drugs?
No, I don't remember that one.
No, I remember that.
That was after that they tried to institute. We were probably after we were all done in school. And I just remember thinking to myself of like, hugs, not drugs, which is weird because when you're on like Molly,
you get
or
MDMA, all you want to do is hug.
It's all you want to do is hug.
Hugs and drugs.
Hugs and drugs should actually be
the thing. It's like, hey, if you want to get hugged, if you want to hug more and for it to feel better, do drugs.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy, man. Because like, I do think about the kids who started smoking weed in middle school, and most of them aren't doing too well right now. That's from my hometown.
Yeah.
So
that's what I mean. It's like the kids that were rebelling really early. I noticed that a lot of them, like that's why I use the word stuck. They got stuck, and they never. There's some that went on to become like only one that I've heard of that went on to become like a lawyer. But no one.
And he was smoking weed in middle school?
He was smoking weed and drinking, but then he changed it all.
He changed his trajectory.
Completely.
Yeah.
And now he's doing well.
He's doing well.
Were you getting high?
Nah.
I play sports. Were you ever
Same
really?
Here.
I play sports.
I was never a weed guy.
For me,
I didn't even drink.
For me,
in
it
high
was
school.
bad for me to drink alcohol because I'm like, I play sports. It's stupid. You know what I'm saying? Because I want to have a good mindset. But the thing about right now, like, why kids do drugs, it numbs you from your reality.
Yeah, and it's a way to shield you from your pain.
Yeah. They don't want to face things. They want to just block it out. So whatever they're going through, they do drugs like opioids and things like that, weed, Molly, all that type of stuff. Think about it. A lot of kids are going through problems, not just at school, but at home.
Of course.
You see what I'm saying? So these drugs numb you from the situation and make you feel good about whatever you're going through.
And there's
so you accept it. It helps you to accept what you're going through. That's why they do drugs.
That's probably not even a normal conscious thought that's happening, right?
No, it's just.
But that's exactly what is happening because
no, it is a conscious thought. It's a conscious because they're doing drugs to get out of this situation.
So you think they're consciously? But do you think that they're like, I know my situation's bad and I know why I'm doing this?
No, it's like
that's what I'm talking.
That's what he means.
I don't think they're doing it because of that. They're like, you know what? I just need to feel good.
I feel you.
I want to feel good.
Yeah,
I just want to let go whatever I'm going through and feel
100%.
good about the situation. So if it's weed, if it's Oxycontin, whatever it is, I just want to feel good.
And how can the adults be right when it makes me feel so good?
Absolutely.
Right. And adults they don't have like an honest conversation and be like, hey, they are fun, but this is what's going to happen. Because the thing that I see with friends that I've had that smoke way too much, like I really don't have any, and maybe it's just because we live in Los Angeles, but I really don't have, I have two types of friends when it comes to weed. I have friends that do it like once in a blue moon, but that's like so rare. And then I have friends that do it all the time. So my friends that do it all the time, it's almost like anytime like a painful thing comes up, I got to smoke. And so you're not really dealing with the things in life that can like push you forward. So it's like when you get in, and I'm not demonizing people who smoke weed. Obviously I'd be demonizing all Los Angeles. Mostly everybody does. Yeah. But it's like, it's not dealing with the reality effectively. Like, it's like having a glass of wine because you really like wine. Or is it just like, I need a glass of wine from work, and you're not dealing with the problem, which I think is a bad thing to set yourself up for because you're just holding yourself back, I think.
I don't think it's pushing. I think people that do drugs don't push you away from the problem. It helps you to deal with the problem better.
Really?
Yes.
So you think when somebody does drugs, they deal with the problem better?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it numbs you from the reality of how bad it could be. So
but you don't think that you're dealing with it then?
No, it just makes it simplifies things. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We simplify things for certain people. For me, if I smoke weed, I'm thinking about it worse. Like, I'm having a panic attack.
I get a panic attack.
So people do drugs, it numbs you from reality. It's just like doing like Xanax or something like that. It doesn't bother you as much. It's a problem, but it doesn't bother you as much.
But do you think that keeps you from changing though, if it doesn't bother you?
No, hear me out. Hear me out. Listen, I'm just give you a whole situation because I got people do drugs and I wonder why and I ask questions. It doesn't make it as bad as it is. It numbs it. Okay, have you ever overthought something that wasn't so bad? Have you?
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay, sometimes like I'm overthinking. Oh, it's crazy. But then if you do a drug or Xanax, it just makes you feel like, that's not that bad.
I 100%.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Whatever. I can get through this. But, I'm fine.
But you know what I'm saying? I guess the thing is like, does the lack of attachment that drugs can bring, right? That space between the problem and you, right? Makes it wide. Does that actually change the problem? That's what I think. Like I was thinking.
No, it doesn't change the problem. It simplifies the problem.
He's saying it simplifies the problem to where you can act on it. Like,
excuse me.
Like getting a massage.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay,
for your brain.
If I do this drug, it's not as bad as I think. It's not. It's cool, but it doesn't take you away from dealing with the problem. It just say, you know what? I can get the answer for it. I'll figure it out.
So you're just talking about the reason why it helps is because it changes your emotional attachment to it.
Absolutely.
Right. You get a distance. You're able to look at it.
First of all, it pushes your emotions away from the problem.
Okay, but changing your emotional state, the thing is, does that produce a better outcome to dealing with the problem long term?
Let me ask you something. If you deal with a problem emotionally, is that better than dealing with it logically?
To deal with something logically?
And emotionally.
If you have a problem, you want to deal with it logically.
Absolutely. So that's what it does for certain people. They blow it off. They think, okay, you know what? Let me just think about it better than when I'm going through it right now. Or some people might push it away, but some people are like, you know what? I could deal with this problem a little bit better than I thought I could have if I didn't do drugs.
Yeah.
But I'm not, by the way, I'm not condoning drugs at all. It's bad for you. But I think that's why people do it.
Right. I think there's two types of people though. I think I do hear what you're saying. Like there are people like that. And then I think there's other people too though, to where sometimes, I guess what I mean is like, there's sometimes the only way you change is if you have enough pain. Like, so for instance, I got into teaching because I was just tired of certain situations in my life. So I was like, let me go over here and do this while I'm doing comedy. But it was that pain that forced me up. So it's like,
if you did drugs,
but for someone like me, if I did drugs and I wasn't experiencing that pain, I would have stayed in that stuck thing. So that's more of what I mean. Like, it's like, I have realized, like, you know, I used to be really shy around women, you know, when I was like, I guess I'd say girls.
You're the biggest player I know right now.
I'm in a relationship, but
I'm kidding.
But what's crazy is like I had enough pain when I was like in my early 20s to where I was like, I'm gonna go start talking to women and figure out how to actually talk to women. Like just walk up to a woman and just talk to her, like, because I want to be able to feel. So I made myself talk to 5 women a day. Which was like a weird OCD thing that I set for myself. But I was like, I have to do this because there was so much pain. Now, if I would have smoked weed and been like, it's not that big of a deal. I don't think that pain, like, dude, it was so painful inside to see a woman that I wanted to talk to. And it was like, I couldn't. And so I was like, I have to learn this.
That's why some people
drove me.
Yeah, got you. But then that's why somebody might smoke weed because, like, I don't care. I'm gonna talk to every girl possible. He go get another girl. Hey, what's up? Hey, da. So they smoke weed because they like, it makes me easier. It makes it easier for me to talk to girls because I have no conscience. I'm not insecure. I'm not self-conscious.
Sure.
So it takes away all those inhibitors, so it won't stop you to talk to a girl.
Sure. To my point though, I think what I meant though was like,
when I was in Chicago,
not me. Right. Yeah. I know you're saying other people. I used to drink to do that, but I was still bad at it. It wasn't until I was like, okay, I'm going to like apply this and use this energy in this direction. So yeah, I think it just depends on the type of person you are. For me, pain has always been the thing that made me change.
Yeah.
It's always been like, I'm a futurist. I look at the future and I'm like, oh gosh, I don't want to be,
well, Matt,
you know, or like, I'm like looking at like the ghost of Christmas past, present, future. I'm like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say that it's you. All human motivation is rooted in pain to change.
Or pleasure.
Absolutely. But that pleasure is because you're getting away of the pain. All change comes from pain. All change. And until someone experiences enough pain, they won't change. And
I agree.
That's what I guess, like, when you think of, let's pretend that the drug is a coping mechanism, right? So what would be a healthier long-term thing? To use that as the coping mechanism, like say you're talking to girls, right? You smoke weed and then you could talk to a bunch of girls. Or is a better, because you're dealing with your thoughts, so you have negative thoughts associated with it. Or is it actually better to confront your negative thoughts, examine them, see how your negative thoughts are false, so that those negative thoughts now start dropping, like Neo in the Matrix when he's dropping the bullets, right? Is it better to do that way? Or is it better to just continue to smoke weed, but never actually address the negative thinking that goes along with it? Because then the negative thinking is still there.
Yeah. Or I get what you're trying to say.
I agree with you on, can I say one thing?
Mm-hmm.
I would agree that the way that they're using now stuff like, I've heard like ketamine or MDMA, and they're using that in a therapeutic way for people that have experienced like high degrees of trauma,
like veterans and stuff.
Yeah, or anybody, you know, people victims of, you know, real assault, abuse, all of that. It allows them to get into a comfortable enough state that they can talk about it. And so when I think of drugs like that kind of stuff, when you're talking about it, I'm like, so for try to find those kind of ways, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll never fault anybody. I'm not one of those people who's like, how dare you? I'm just talking about for me, like, so we've talked about this before. I'm an addictive dude.
And that's the problem.
You know what I mean? And that's the problem. That's why I have this rigid stance. It's not because my thing is not prescriptive for other people. It's more for me, dude. Like I've gone to 12-step programs before, you know, I'm like, I don't like calling myself an addict because I don't like saying I am and then something negative, but it's like, I know I have a genetic predisposition for whatever reason to get addicted to stuff, whether it could be people, places, or things. You know what I mean? It could be work, it could be women, it could be anything. And so it's like, I have to be like very careful.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's more so for me. And I'm very like, for myself because I have to be, you know?
Yeah. And that's the problem with most kids. Because they have addictive personalities.
And I don't think they're aware yet.
They don't know.
You know? They don't know.
That's why they're young. They're in grammar school, high school, stuff like that. They don't realize they have addictive personalities because their parents. You know what I'm saying? We know how we grew up, you know, watching our parents. You know what I'm saying? And these kids don't know what the effect it can have on them because they might have addictive personality. And that's why a lot of rappers and musicians die with overdose drugs. Because they have addictive personalities, and they need that to numb them. And next you know, they do too much
to do their job.
Yeah,
you know,
to do their job.
It's very easy. If you're feeling uncomfortable in your own being, you will turn to the outside: food, drugs, sex, whatever it is, to have some kind of peaceful state. The problem is that the drugs is not a placebo effect, but then it eventually stops working. So people have to change the type of drugs.
Do extra.
Drugs become harder.
Absolutely.
They start mixing things. Yeah. All of that just to have that somehow peace of mind.
Well, they searching for the high. The high.
I think it's peace.
Well, that too. But when some people, when you do drugs, the first time you do drugs is the best experience in the world.
Dude, oh my gosh.
It's like amazing.
And then it gets
amazing.
sad.
And they always keep trying to chase that amazing thing they had before, and you never go get there. It's going to get you a little bit, but not like the first time you do drugs.
When I was in college, they wrote me a prescription for anxiety of Klonopin. You know what Klonopin is?
I heard about it, yeah.
Yeah, it's like Xanax kind of.
Yeah.
But it was like, I kept taking more and more and more.
Yeah.
And I remember I was drinking with it.
Absolutely.
And I was in the back seat of a taxi cab because I was like, was addicted to a bunch of stuff in Chicago, and then I was addicted to like spending money too. I remember
just picturing you in Chicago.
Dude, I got my paycheck. I was like 20 years old, 21, something like that. And I blew my whole paycheck on taxi cabs. Just having them drive around the city. I was like manic, dude. I was on meds and everything. I was crazy. And I remember I was taking Klonopin. I was drinking like one of those little wine things. And I fell asleep in the back seat. And the taxi cab guy was like shaking me, like, wake up, wake up. And I was like, and then it was like that whole time period. But that's what it was. It was like, it started out as a small thing, wanting to have like peace of mind. And then it just got like bigger and bigger and bigger, you know? And so it's like those things, I think that's why I'm such a, you know what I mean? I have to draw very strict parameters around myself.
But Matt, you're conscious. You're conscious.
I'm conscious now.
But you allowed yourself to be conscious, but you went through it. At the same time, I also think it's who you're around the most too.
I wasn't really around any druggy people, dude. It was my psychiatrist is who I was around.
So that's who made you do it?
Yeah, he was like his name was, I'm not gonna say his name because I don't want to blow his anonymity or whatever. But he's like, you'll need this. He's like, you'll need it, and it was just such a poisonous. That's why like I'm very with like meds. Sometimes I'm still like, ugh. And he's like, because when I was a kid, when I was in school, they were always trying to get me on meds. Mm-hmm. They're trying to get me on ADHD medication.
Okay.
And because one teacher wanted to put me in gifted classes, the other teacher wanted to put me in special ed classes. And I remember she goes, you stare out the window a lot. Have you ever thought about medicine? I was like, no, you know? But it was like, I'm so glad I wasn't on it. But it's like, it's sometimes people just don't want to deal with you. And so they want to medicate you.
Yeah, just take it. Yeah.
And as a teacher,
that's why doctors make so much money. They're the biggest drug
1,000%. And as a teacher, when you have like so many kids in your class, it could be very tempting to go that way. Like put that kid on some meds, lobotomize him, whatever. You know what I mean? Like you want to take the easy way out, but really what it is you're probably not relating to that kid in the way that it's probably nothing wrong with the kid.
Yeah,
he's probably not getting attention at home, or there's like some kind of.
Have you you know what I mean? Have you guys ever saw a kid and it's like, yo, that's me? Like
1,000%. He drives me nuts and he's me.
Yeah.
Yeah. His name is Matthew.
His name's Matt. That's crazy.
His name's Matthew.
That's crazy.
And he acts just like me.
He acts just like you?
Yes.
That is hilarious, yo.
Yeah. And he's small too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a little guy. It's so weird.
That's funny.
You know?
I think that when you guys were talking about medication and medicating like kids or anybody, right? I wonder, like, I don't believe in medication without intensive therapy, because
same.
If you're not doing, first it should start with the intensive therapy, then the meds to see, right? But then a lot of people, and I guarantee you there's a ton of people
absolutely
that are now just going to see their psychiatrist, checking in. How are you? I'm doing well. Okay, well, that's great. We'll continue writing your script. And there's no real working through things.
It's disgusting.
And at that point, now I look at it and I go, instead of being self-medicating with alcohol or weed or whatever, you just happen to have a doctor's script, but that doctor's doing the same thing. He's no different than the guy working at 7-Eleven selling you the beer, you know?
No.
And that I just don't get. Or like some of these kids, man, when you think of like the unstable families that they come from.
Absolutely.
Holy God, man. Like, of course they're acting out.
Of course, dude. Yeah. It's like if you're acting out like that as a kid, it's because you're not getting something that you need, which is why I always have empathy, even though I'm like, you know what I mean? Because there's like so many of them in the class.
Yeah.
I have to be like, all right, there's a reason why they act like this.
There's going to be some kids that are, no matter what, right? Statistically speaking, that are going to be just straight psychos. They could be raised in the most loving, stable family, whatever, right?
And they're still going to like dismember people.
They're still going to do weird stuff.
Regardless.
Steal things, whatever it is. But then, you know, with most of the kids, and this is where I'm a big advocate at the middle school level, more counselors, man.
Dude, counselors.
I agree.
Because if you don't invest in the kids and allow them to have the therapy and being able to talk and all that, you're going to get kids vaping in the bathroom with the vape pens and they're 12 and 13 years old.
I think kids in elementary school, grammar schools, high schools should see a therapist as a class requirement.
Dude, yes. That's what I think too. And like,
I really believe that.
Are you know, like cognitive behavioral therapy?
Absolutely.
Where you change the thoughts and then you change like the behavior. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I think that should be taught as a class. I think that's more important than history. And I know a lot of people would be like, more important. History's important. But that is cognitive behavioral therapy, how your thoughts work and teaching that to kids. Yeah. I guarantee you to cut down on drug usage.
I think every school should have that because they do it for sports. We do it for sports sometimes. We have that for sports just to deal with.
Sports is kind of that.
Well, yes, it's that, 100%. But also we like Phil Jackson used to always make all the Bulls people when Mike was playing meditate. You know what I'm saying? He gave them just like suggestions to how to feel and think. Things
visualization.
Like that. Yeah, absolutely. Affirmations, things like that.
Yeah.
And I think that we have to implement that in school because it'll make things a lot easier to deal with our problems. You see what I'm saying? The affirmations, the motivation, therapy to see what everybody's going through, but also give them something to look at differently than the experiences they're going through. Yeah. Because it's a lot of people that have families at home that they have to go through a lot of things with, like crazy things. Mom's on drugs, father's locked up, blah, blah, blah. And the kids only react to what they've been taught at home. You see what I'm saying? So that's why they go to school and react a certain kind of way. So if we had therapy sessions at schools, kids would be a lot better. They'd be more motivated to go to therapy sessions than to go the gym because they have an out for a change.
And if you think about it, if a kid is just being punished, right? Like let's say a kid is coming from, let's call it that adverse background, right? It comes into school. His behavior that he wants to do is not being supported. And now they're getting into trouble, but there's no correction of it, right? Being spent with the therapy. Then all of your consequences mean nothing. The kid doesn't learn anything. Like I've said this to people is like, for the majority of kids that are coming from those unstable households, punishments don't matter.
No, because they're just going to go home and they're like, yeah, my teacher's mad at me today. And then the father's just like lighting up a bomb.
I'm just like, straight up saying like when you have a kid that comes from like a stable family, a lot of the time, if you have to keep them 5 minutes into lunch or something like that, oh my God, it destroys them there, and that you never see that behavior again. A kid that has the unstable family, then has all the crazy behaviors at school, you can keep them 30 minutes. All of lunch, and they're eating their lunch in your room. There's nobody else around. And guess what? It doesn't change their behavior. They act the same way the next day.
Like Ted Bundy,
and you're like,
in the classroom.
Oh my God, like literally the things that doesn't work. You know, that kid needs therapy.
Yeah, dude. But here's the thing too. Like you mentioned the thing with the class.
Yeah.
The reason, so I've talked to Chris about this a lot. I think I might have talked to you about it a lot, but I'm like a huge fan of like 12-step programs. Absolutely. I think that they work.
Yeah.
And, when people think of 12-step, they think of, Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous, but it's like, there's literally a 12-step for everything. For literally, like there's 12-step programs for almost every single issue.
Okay.
And the reason why it works is because it basically is a class format. You're going to meetings, which is kind of like in a classroom. Everybody's talking. Everybody just listens. They don't give advice. And then you go home and you do quote unquote homework, which is the 12 steps. You do the questions and everything, you write it, and then you share your homework with like a sponsor. But it's like, the whole thing is like people don't really recover alone. There's something about like being in like that format to where it's like, dude, if they taught that to kids at an early age, it would literally change their trajectory. Maybe not 12-step, but something like it. Yeah, but
kids got to be ready for that. They're kids. Yeah. Kids don't want to hear that. You know what I'm saying? You're that whole thing, like the 12-step.
But I mean like psychology is what I'm saying. Like psychology, and stuff like that.
You could definitely work in some CBT.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I don't mean like to the full degree to where it's talk about your feelings, John, when he's like 7 and he's like, he's like, this is gay. You know what I mean? Absolutely. Like, and it's like, he's not gonna,
absolutely. I think that will work, but I think kids want to be kids. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing.
I feel that
they want to just be kids. My thing with kids, man, I see kids and I understand their situation, so I know what to say to them. Like if kids are acting out or doing crazy dumb stuff, I'm like, you good? Yeah. Okay. Let me know if you need anything. Okay, I'll let you know. Mm-hmm. I got your back. Let you know right now.
Were you always good with kids?
Always.
Yeah.
Always. Because it's like I go to the psyche of a kid because I know myself. I wasn't the best kid growing up.
I wasn't either.
You know, I had my problems and I spoke out. I caused trouble in classrooms, things like that. But it came from somewhere. It came from either kids bullying me or me just trying to find myself, or things were going on at home, but I had nobody to speak to because I didn't have no one like an adult to talk to.
You
I
don't
turned
have
to like
the ability as a kid either to just say what's going on. Like that's the thing is like you don't know.
It's hard.
You
don't
even know
yourself.
you're supposed to be sharing. That's why like
you don't even
that's
might
where
not
trauma
even know
comes
that
from.
something
It gets
is
lodged.
really wrong.
Exactly. You act out
because there's
things.
no frame of reference.
Not at all. Not at all.
Dude, I remember these kids in 5th grade. They were like chasing me, like they had mallets in their hand, but it was just their fist. You know how like Donkey Kong just does like the smash, like that. They were chasing me like that, and they were hitting me on top of my head. And I remember I was like, I wanted to tell people that there were kids that were doing this to me, but it's like this weird thing. You're like, okay, my dad's gonna embarrass me, or who, you know, if I tell my dad or something and he brings it up, he might embarrass me by making me look like a bitch, by telling the kids, be like, are you guys chasing my son? And then everybody's like, you told your dad. And then it's like a societal like outcast thing. And then there's the other side to where it's like, you want to fight back, but then you don't want to get in trouble. So it's like this weird thing to where you just like shut down and you just kind of, you go inward.
Absolutely.
You know, and I think that's what happens to kids when they're bullied.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
thank God I was always the biggest kid.
No, I wasn't, dude. I was the size of a pocket watch. I was like Tiny Tim from A Christmas Carol.
You know who I was? I was the guy that bullied the bullies.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
Oh my God. If I found out that you were messing with the kid and he was doing nothing to you, I was coming for you.
What?
Oh my God.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I
had this sense of
just look at his face.
I hate injustice.
You could tell Chris is crazy. Kids
injustice.
Don't mess with Chris. Like, don't mess with him. No.
You were like Dexter. You killed the serial killers.
I killed the serial killers.
And you were big at that time. Yeah, I can't imagine. He's slim right now. He was bigger at that time, right?
You were either picked on as the fat kid or you were the bully.
Yeah.
There was like, it was like either bully or be bullied.
And also, I don't know about you guys, but like I grew up and I was a fat kid, right? So I
cannot imagine you fat. Please bring a picture next show.
Oh, dude, yeah, I'll show
I need to
you
see a fat picture. I cannot imagine you being fat.
Yeah. So I only weigh like 20 more pounds than I did when in 6th grade.
Yeah.
And right now. So, but the thing is, like for me, and I hate seeing this too, is like when I see someone being picked on for something that's out of their control, it boils.
Oh, dude, yeah.
It like, and especially when kids do it, because I grew up and I was fat, I made that. I don't say it was a conscious rule that I made or whatever.
Yeah.
But I never made fun of anybody for something that was out of their control. Mm-hmm. Because it's out of their control.
Same.
You know, and that's a lot of the time when kids are bullied, it's for stuff that's out of their control. And, you know, when you get to middle school, and I think the girls tend to be worse at excluding people more so than boys.
Yeah, dude.
But that's when the tribes start to form. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I don't know, man. Like, I'll go on. You're going to say something.
Just to tap onto what you're saying. What bothered me at the time when going to school, before Spectrum was a thing, back then we didn't know what Spectrum was.
You mean like autism?
Yeah, Spectrum. Okay. You know what I'm saying? We didn't know what, right now we know what Spectrum is right now.
Of course.
But back when we were in school, kids were Spectrum, but it didn't have that title. You see what I'm saying? And I had a best friend with Spectrum. I never knew he was Spectrum, but he was cool. You know what I'm saying? 7th grade, coolest dude in the world, funny. He started dancing. He's like, go dance, Robert. Yeah, Robert, keep going. We love Robert dancing.
How far was it? Was he moderate to severe?
No,
like
he
on the
was
spectrum?
No. He was just.
You could have a carry on a conversation.
Yeah, he could have a conversation.
Okay, he wasn't like the person who would just be playing with a pencil.
I wouldn't say like flat out just all spectrum.
He wasn't Rain Man.
No.
Like
but
Elon
he would
Musk.
dance and do goofy stuff all the time, and we loved him for it. Like, go Robert. It was like, yeah,
because he didn't care.
Didn't care
because
and so he
had
popular.
no boundaries. He would go there like sober. You know what I'm saying? So it's like at the time, you know, he was the cool kid, but people would pick on him because he was just different. But everybody loved him at the same time because he was a nice guy.
But they
really
would
cool.
poke fun. They wanted him around, but they also wanted him to like control what he did. Like, hey, Robert, go do that thing over there.
Yeah, but
that was their way of picking on him.
It was one jerk out of the crew that would pick on him. But everybody thought Robert was cool.
You know what's interesting though, dude?
Yeah.
Those people who are ruthless bullies, I've never seen it. It always ends up very sad for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like people who are just ruthless bullies. Like it ends up, and it's like, that's not even like a thing, like be like, oh, it's karma, whatever. Like it's like, I don't wish that on anybody because I've seen like bullies like later in life. And I actually feel bad for them.
Absolutely.
I'm like, dude, I hope that guy gets his life together.
There's a video.
Because it's like, it's actually, I end up feeling sad for the bullies. Like there's people that I went to high school with that were just like.
I don't feel sad for them. Forget them.
No, but I'm saying like, but they've kind of had the epiphany. But they've had the epiphany of like, man, I was an asshole. And now they know that they were, and they regret it. But there's like a weird thing to where you're like stuck in the thing, and you're kind of just a loser now.
Are they not growing? Are they just like losers right now? The bullies?
They're just kind of like in a ditch face down somewhere. Like I'm kind of being metaphorical, but like also kind of literal. Yeah, like a lot of them, it's just like, and then you realize that they were a bully because they were also being bullied. You know what I mean? Their parents were bullying them. Absolutely. So then it's kind of like, it's sort of like, it makes you have compassion on them a little bit, even though like they were such a piece of crap, you know, when you were a kid, but you're kind of like, you know?
Yeah. And at the same time, no.
I don't feel bad for them.
Here's why. Well, no, if someone actually was abused at home and stuff like that. But what I was going to say is there's actually a really good video. It was a superintendent, I think, of schools, right? Or he was the mayor or something like that. And people could probably find the video. But a guy goes up and speaks. You know how they would do it? And like, okay, there's a little podium and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And the guy goes, you know, I'm here and I'm talking about, the guy started talking about bullying in schools or whatever. He goes, and the weirdest thing is the biggest bully in school is sitting on your board right now.
Oh, so he was
he called him out. This guy that was like the super.
This is a real video.
Oh my God. Yeah. There's like a superintendent or whatever. He was a horrific bully. And the guy detailed everything that transpired. And you're like, oh my God, this is like sad. It almost like brings tears to your eyes that he got that superintendent or whoever it was. That guy resigned the next day. And I go, yeah, yes, bro.
Me too.
Yeah, dude, because that's not what I'm talking about.
I know.
That's not what I'm talking about. That's like Ivy League square-jawed asshole.
But what I'm saying is,
you know what I mean?
But what I'm saying is that it's not always the case of like, you know,
it's not. Yeah, there's no monolith.
The sad bully, and you know,
it's like Batman superheroes with the you know, Batman with the cape of bats. It's not every bully has the same genesis. But just because
people had a crazy background at home and they
don't always turn out to be bullies.
Yeah, but my point is like just because they had a bad growing up and they became bullies, is that a good thing because of that?
No, it's not a good thing. It's a bad thing. Yeah. Still, I mean, dude, I was severely bullied as a kid. Like really, really bullied. I know we got to wrap up here in a second, but I had to take, so I have a whole stand-up bit about this to where when I was a kid, like I had to keep going to a growth doctor because they couldn't figure out why I wasn't growing. So they basically shot me up full of steroids. And I have a joke. I'm like, technically this is me on steroids. You know what I mean? Because it was like putting the jumper cables on me to make me go through puberty. They said they're like, he might not hit puberty till he's 18. So kids were constantly like, if there's anything, I've used this reference on the show before, but like Terminators, they're like scanning things like, and it's like different. And they find that thing that's different and they will point it out. So I remember being on the playground as a kid. I was really small. I had bad obsessive compulsive disorder too. So I brushed my teeth and I rubbed the enamel off my teeth. So my teeth were yellow. So I wouldn't smile. I had to hide because I was.
Oh, your teeth. Pause.
They were
yellow. Yellow teeth because you brush your teeth a lot.
Because I brushed them so hard, I rubbed the enamel off, and it removed. It like stained them. Okay. Which sounds funny. Exactly. Brush my teeth. It's like I don't think that's how it works. Yeah. My teeth were yellow because I brushed them so much.
Exactly. Okay.
But I would hide on the playground, and I just didn't want anyone to notice me. And I remember people would come up to me and be like, "You're short," and then they would like try to like put their hands on me, and they would like kids like I remember a kid held a stick under my neck, and like there was just all this stuff that happened, and so. I took the testosterone shots, and then that's how I became like the funny person. But bullying does screw you up because what it does is, I think that's where a lot of my anxiety came from because it puts you in fight or flight mode, to where
all the time
you're constantly in fight or flight, and you have to get to the point to where people understand
absolutely
what you're saying. It's like an anxiety of like, no, you don't get what I'm saying. Yeah. And to this day, I have a habit of like over explaining, like. Making sure people understand what I'm saying because of that. So it's like it is horrible, but I also think that I mean, geez, every single kingdom has it. You know what I mean? Like I think fish have it, dogs have it. So it's like, what are you gonna do?
It's life, yo.
I think
it's just life. Yeah. You can't really get rid of it.
Zoe and I are gonna put our money together and get you that weighted blanket.
Yeah. Or we can just ask our viewers to put it in. Yeah, I'm tired of
silk and snow weighted blanket, change your life.
Yeah.
We should just plug stuff that we don't even have endorsements for.
Right, and be like, guys, this program has been brought to you by purified drinking water from Good and Gather. I think that if they sponsored us, they would go broke. Have you ever heard of Good and Gather water?
Nah,
me neither. It's probably owned by Coca-Cola.
Do you guys drink milk right now? I don't drink milk.
I drink raw milk. I started drinking raw because it's actually I believe it's good for you.
I don't like it. I drink oat milk.
Oat milk. Okay.
Yeah, what about you?
He's a vegetarian. Vegan.
Basically, none of the whether it's
oat milk. You oat milk?
No, I mean I just don't drink it for. I never buy it.
Coconut. I like coconut.
You don't drink almond milk either?
No, I never buy it.
You don't eat cereal?
No,
I don't eat cereal.
Oh, you know what it is, dude? I'm an oatmeal guy.
Okay.
So instead of eating cereal in the morning. It's oatmeal.
Dude, when I was a kid, I thought oatmeal was so gross, and now I love it.
You put a scoop of peanut butter in oatmeal.
Amazing.
You're having dessert for breakfast.
I think our time.
Well, no, it's right there. It's 55 minutes. Right
okay, 50. Yeah, okay, we're still good. Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
We good. Yeah.
Sitting here till like 2:00 in the morning, be like, I'll tell you what's really good is blueberries. And I remember it just looked like, you know how like you'd see those movies where there'd be kids in an orphanage and they would eat porridge? Porridge is like strictly orphanage food. Yeah. Like I don't think they serve it outside of like people who were like.
I'm trying to think if I've ever had porridge in my life.
No, dude. You've only seen it in like Little Orphan Annie and stuff like that. It's stuff that they feed to orphans. It's like orphan food. But I would think that oatmeal looked like the porridge that I would see in movies, and my dad would be eating it. I'd be like,
oatmeal is the most nutritious thing you could eat.
It's really good for you.
Like that's really good for you. You know
but here's the thing: if they're not sprouted, because this is me getting on my nutrition thing. Yeah, my RFK stuff. But it's like
this is stuff
there's glyphosate that's actually sprayed on grains.
Okay.
This is like a thing because there's so many people in America, so they have to do it in mass production. So that can really like screw up your digestion.
Really?
So it's like, from what I've heard, like sprouted oats is the best. Sprouted. Yeah, if you can get sprouted.
I don't know where you even look for that at. Like,
sprouted.
This guy,
Erewhon.
I was going to say, this guy goes to Erewhon.
Dude, that's why I'm always broke.
You shop at Erewhon?
Not like just for meat and dairy. I get from Erewhon because it's clean.
Listen, the shakes at Erewhon is $17, bro.
It's
like the worst thing ever. $17 for a shake.
And everybody there's so annoying. I almost want to scream, I don't believe you.
Which one
it's a bunch of white guys that think they're shamans.
Which one? Studio City?
It's on I guess it's kind of Beverly Hills. It's like
Culver City.
No,
not Culver City. Beverly?
No, it's like on Beverly. It's on Beverly. Yeah, 766 something in Beverly.
You live in Beverly Hills, Matt?
No, dude. I live in Hollywood.
Matt did tell us.
I live in Hollywood. Rich. I'm like Romeo and Juliet. I go over to the other side of town.
Okay.
Erewhon's my Juliet.
Nah. It's closer. You could go to one in Studio City, which is closer.
Well, I don't live in the Valley. I live in Hollywood.
So but that's still Studio City is closer than Beverly Hills.
I don't know, man. It's only 2.5 miles from me.
You sure?
Uh-huh.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, the one in Studio City might be 4, but it's better. It's more tolerable. The people there are annoying.
Air One should come sponsor us, man. You know what I'm saying?
Dude,
just so we could shop there.
Absolutely.
I did valet for them.
Yeah, for sure. You did?
I did valet for you, Air One. It was the worst.
Shut up. They have valet for a grocery store.
In Studio City, they do. Yes.
It was during COVID too, so people would be like, "I don't want you in my car."
Yo, I used to
be like,
I used to do demo. I used to do demos at Air One. Like,
demos.
Yes, demos.
Oh,
where I would go and sample products, and I would just do.
Did you just talk to girls all day?
No, I'm safe.
Yeah, you did.
I'm safe. But anyway, I would go and just different products and just talk about it in Air One. Healthy products like kombucha, or like some nuts, some good stuff. I would go in Air One and sell it. Mm-hmm. Best store in the world. They buy it.
It really is the best grocery store around. It's great products.
Listen, if you're single, go to Air One and get you a girlfriend. It's the best thing in the world.
There's a dating situation.
What's the best
in Air
aisle to meet a girl in?
The best aisle?
Air One?
Yeah, an Air One.
Oh, dude, I used to. Well, it's all the size of a shoebox. It's like a saw trap.
Okay.
Like all healthy.
So would you say the juice bar? The juice bar.
You could literally. You're touching everyone when you walk. Yeah, the juice bar. And then when I used to go
the full bar.
Because I used to go to grocery stores to talk to women.
It's a full bar. It's right next to the juice bar, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a juice bar, but then there's also there's the hot bar, which their hot bar is awesome.
Well, that's right. That's what's the food bar. Hot bar.
Yeah, the food. Okay, yeah. So, it's good cafeteria food. Last week we talked about cafeteria.
It's expensive though.
Air One is the cafeteria food you eat if you're.
I'm gonna have to try it sometime,
dude. It's
if you get the hot food, you spend at least $25.
Okay, so
but that's what Chick-fil-A is now.
That's not bad.
That's not
$25.
Chick-fil-A has never been $25.
It's $20.
What do you get for Chick-fil-A?
Spicy chicken sandwich with waffle fries and a large lemonade. And then a side of buffalo sauce and ketchup.
Okay, that's a lot. That's $15 right there. Okay, yeah.
I think it's almost 20, dude.
But you get your whole meal for $25.
But I get it a large size though. Yeah? Okay, I try not to eat Chick-fil-A, but I every now and then, you know what I mean?
That's a story about Chick-fil-A too. They talking about
so good.
That's another story about Chick-fil-A. They've been like putting stuff in it.
Oh, dude, it's so bad for you.
Yeah. Like stuff that make you addicted to the meat.
Dude.
It's a whole study I just read today about Chick-fil-A, Popeyes. I said to you about
you did.
Yeah, when they put in they meat and make people addicted to it.
Yeah, dude.
There's a lot of man-made stuff in the food. I don't know. You're a vegetarian.
Franken chicken.
Yeah, no, but I also understand how much they add things to foods to make it. Like, think about it. What was the potato chip? You can't just eat one or something like that.
Jay's. What was it? No, was it Jay's potato chip?
I can't remember which one it was.
Pringles.
Yeah.
That was actually developed by mad scientists. I'm serious.
Here's the crazy part.
Scientists that made it to be addictive.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you can't just have one.
Once you pop, the fun don't stop.
Yeah, because that's Pringles. That's the can is a serving size. That should just be the serving size.
Yeah, absolutely.
Imagine if RFK did talk about the fun will stop with the pop. You know what I mean? He probably will ban Pringles.
No, but the thing is, I guarantee you, we can make a healthier potato chip.
We could. I mean, an actual potato that's in slices, but that is our time. So, guys, this is mainly about just the mindset, drugs.
Yeah.
Don't do them. Honestly, say no to drugs.
Just smoke a cigarette. No, I'm not.
Yeah, smoke cigarette.
Bring cigarettes.
No.
Bring back
roll your own cigarettes.
Yeah. Don't do it. Yeah.
Roll your own. Then you can be a hipster. You know what I mean? You know those hipsters who dress like Huck Finn and then they like roll their jeans up and it's like they need to go away.
Just meditate. I tell kids now, just meditate. Get your life together. Meditate. You know?
Meditate.
Or pray. Whatever you believe in.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Peace out.
Be out next week.
Later.
Let's go.
I like